Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy. I'm adjusting things. And just to let you know up front, I lost a little bit of footage at the beginning and quite a lot of footage at the beginning and then a touch of footage at the end of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and play you the footage that I have of this painting. I start out with so this is an illustration done by Charles Santori for the Night Before Christmas book. And I got the coloring book as well. And I went ahead and traced the drawing from the coloring book and put it on watercolor paper because I really wanted to do a watercolor piece for this. And I'm using my beam paints. I got out my Kiritaki pink and purple that I love from that set because I knew I would need them for the background. And as you can see, I used them quite a lot. I'm almost out. And then my paintbrushes. This is my Master Touch 1.5 inch wash brush. And I'm going to go ahead and wet the front and back of the entire paper. And then I lost the footage of me dropping in all the base colors. So this is a scarlet in beam paints for the hat and the coat. And then I used the pumpkin spice, that orange metallic for all of the swirls. And then I put in the background the pink and a touch of the purple and just kind of let it swoosh around. And then I went ahead and decided that I was going to put in the beard and the hat, some of the gold, that pumpkin spice color from beam paints as well. And here I'm dropping in that beautiful dark red for the hat. And I have to do this a couple times because I keep fussing with it at the edges. That happens when you work wet into wet and you get too close to an edge where you don't want it to bleed. This paint doesn't really bleed a lot though, which is really nice for this kind of technique. If you don't want a lot of a lot of movement, but you still want to work wet and wet. And throughout the whole piece, I really struggle with the face, the flesh tone of this Santa Claus. I should have kind of left it alone at the point it's at right now and then gone in with the crayons, but I end up fussing with it. I'm dropping in the blue for the eye, the base blue, and I want to let that dry. And I'm thinking in my head, do I want to drop in more color now? I don't want it to get too dark. I'll do a little bit on the edges just to give it that depth and make it look more realistic. And this is a very illustrative piece, so not trying to make it look terribly realistic, but enough, you know. And yeah, I'm mixing the red from the hat with the pink to get this color, thinking if I incorporate that color in the face, that'll bring the piece together, and it really doesn't. It's a poor life choice. Trying to work around the eye to get darks in, and I don't know. I went in too dark too quick is what I did. What I should have done now, and I would try if I do this piece again, which I will probably do. Good practice for flesh tones is start with a gold, like a golden yellow, and then go over that in areas with a little bit of pinks, and then glaze over that with the more deep reds that are in the piece. He's got a lot of orange in his piece, a lot of yellow, and I didn't really incorporate that in the base colors. I got carried away is what I did. And the more I went, the worse it got. The more I got lost in painting the face. The harder I worked on it, the worse it got, the worse it felt, the angrier, not angry, but the more frustrated I was getting. I don't really get angry when I'm painting. I get slightly frustrated. I was like, nope, that's not going to work. Nope. Oh, that was bad. That was a poor life choice. And I feel like putting that deep red in there, that deep red pink color that I made, it made it muddy. Made that flesh tone look really, really muddy instead of illuminated and reflecting the light of the glow around in the room, that magical glow. It kind of deadened the color of his face a little bit. I didn't get that liveliness that I was looking for. And I struggled with it. I just kept going. I just pushed through. at this point, I'm either going to push through and finish the piece, or I'm going to scrap it and start over. I decided to push through because it was late. It was like 2 a.m. when I got done this painting. Not a good time to paint for me, by the way. Late in the morning. And then I was tired too, so. And here, oh man, here I am putting in, see, I'm like, trying to put in the pink, which is more like a gouache than a watercolor. And I got it too dark there, so I'm trying to lift it out, and then I blot it, and it's not quite enough blot, so I wet it and I blot it again. I'm a mess. And I'm like, all right, I'll leave that alone, let it dry a little bit, and I'll work on the eye. I got the eye too big. Just by a touch, it bled out here and there just a bit, and I fussed with it too much, I think. I overall, the eye came out pretty well in the piece. The piece came out pretty well. I know that I picked at this while I was working on it, and I got lost in the details like I tend to do, and it took too long. I fussed here and there when I should have just not fussed so much. And I decided, all right, well, I'm going to let that dry before I do anything else with it. And I'm going to go ahead and put in all of the shiny golden glow on the hat. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm using the pumpkin spice, and I'm really blocking in where the darker colors, where it would shine more. See where it's touching the hat there, so it's going to shine more on the white and that kind of thing. And I'm just having fun. I love this color so much. I like putting it down on paper and watching it sparkle, and it dries down and holds color and sparkle so nicely. It's one of my favorite colors. I keep telling you guys that. Every time I use it, I say it. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm going in and really dropping in the glows, kind of not paying attention to the drawing at all. Paying attention to the drawing on the paper rather than the piece on the cover of the book, and just kind of winging it, which isn't a bad thing. You can do this completely in your own colors and completely in your own style as well with different mediums. I could have gotten out the colored pencils or the oil pastels, which would have been really nice for the face now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, overall, I really like the piece. I'm not sure now about the pumpkin spice color for the glows and on the hat and in the beard, but it is what it is. It's done now. And you'll see later when I recap the piece at the end, because I did lose a little bit of footage at the end. So we're going to real time today a little bit of the review of the piece. And you'll see on the cover of the book that it is very yellow and pink. It's a little bit of green in there, some deeper golds and browns. And if you're really, really looking at it, there's a lot of color in there. And I need more practice. Drawing humans and painting humans is difficult. I don't usually do humans. And I tend to think of it as, oh, well, this is a person, and people see people all the time, so they're gonna, not that you don't see nature in animals, but you see the flaw more, I feel, when it's a human as opposed to drawing an animal or a plant. And I'm more comfortable drawing animals and plants and objects and landscapes and things like that than I am drawing humans. So that'll be one of my goals for 2025. I think I might add that to my goal list, is to draw and paint more humans, because I love painting animals and drawing animals. I find that to be quite enjoyable. And the more practice practice makes better. So that's my motto. Practice makes better. That squeaking sound you're hearing in the background, if you can hear it, is my oven. I'm not sure why it squeaks like that. I think it's the heat, maybe. I don't know. But if you hear it, that's what that is. The ham's in the oven for dinner today. And I stopped to do this voiceover to swing in and say, hey, happy Merry Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. Can you believe it? We only have a few more days left in our year. And next year's going to be great. Now that I'm watching it back, I'm liking the beard and the yellow choice a little more. That golden pumpkin spice color. I wanted the white to feel the white to pop a little more. In his piece, it isn't white. It's like a cream color. His beard is cream, his hair is cream, and I feel like there is no white there. Of course, we all read Santa Claus with the big white beard and most of us, the big white beard and the white around the hat and whatnot. But his illustration has a lot of cream in those features, and then the smoke around him, the swirly smoky stuff, is white and blue and gray, a soft gray, and there's a bit of green in there as well, but it reads white. So I didn't want to go that route. I really liked the idea of the smoke being magical swirls, and the magical swirls being this pumpkin spice color, and the pumpkin spice color would reflect off the hat and the beard. And thus, in my head, I needed to justify, apparently, why I was using this color in this way for this particular character. Mythological creature? Is Santa a mythical creature? He might be. At any rate. I was going to go in with a shadow color and drop in the dark shadows at this point. And yeah, nope. Nope. Didn't like that at all. So I just wet and blot it. Wet and blot. Pull that back up as much as you can. And then just move forward. Yeah. My camera stopped a lot while I was painting this. I need to get on YouTube and figure out what I did to my camera to make it want to turn off so much, because I didn't even hear it turn off. Usually it beeps at me when it turns off, and I didn't hear it beep. That little jump there, sorry about that, was the camera turning off again. Speaking of. Yeah, so I'm leaving the face alone, and I decided I'm gonna try to get the darks on the hat, like the shadow parts on the hat and the coat now. I mixed a little bit of blue in with the red to get this darker, like deeper red, to see if that would work for the shadows. It kind of worked. Not as well as I wanted it to. 'Cause it dried down late. It dried down really light. I spent a lot of time moving from one section to another. We'll let that section dry a little bit, and then we'll move down here and we'll do this section, put in that blue and then more of the red on top to kind of, I want this to read as a bright red coat, but also it's in shadow a little bit. So I'm deepening that red down here. It dried down pretty light. That's all I do for the coat and the hat, really, at this stage. And then the shape of his lip was wrong, so I tried to fix that with the paint and not fuss too much. I wasn't satisfied with that either, but then again, I wasn't satisfied with the color of the skin tone and not being able to capture the reflected light where I wanted to capture the reflected light with the watercolor paints. And I forgot too that some of the colors that I used for his face are not watercolor, they're gouache. Beam Paint's watercolor set has gouache mixed in with it. They're heavy, they have that heavy white in it, in the formula. That makes it more of a gouache than a watercolor, and it is stated in the list of colors, but they advertise the set as a watercolor set. So I wasn't expecting that when I got it, and I couldn't figure out for a while why. Like, why are these working like gouache instead of watercolor? What is happening? And then I got on their website and got the list of colors and really did the research and looked at it. And yeah, I noted on my swatch sheet which ones are gouache and which ones aren't, but I didn't have my swatch sheet out for this painting. I actually lost it. I tucked it in a drawer. It doesn't go in. Thinking I would remember that I did that, and I don't ever remember that. I'll just put this here for now. I'll remember that I did that. No, I won't. No. That's not how that works. I'm pretty done with fussing with the paint on the Santa at this point, and I decided that the background was just too soft and too light, and I'm going in with the purple and the pink, and I'm going in with the Beam Paints magenta and doing a glaze over the background a little bit, just to make it a little more of a deep color, not dark, but just a little more deep, so that there's more contrast between the yellow swirls and the background. And I feel like that was a little bit effective. I could have gotten bolder and gone a lot darker, and maybe used a dioxazine purple in there mixed with the magenta or the pink to get that darker, deeper shade that I was looking for. I could still go ahead and glaze it, but at this point I'm just going to leave this painting alone and let it be what it is. And if I want to redo it later, I'll do another practice one later. But yeah, I'm going in with the big brush and trying to block these out pretty quickly. And at this point it's getting late, and I'm thinking in my head, I really need to go to bed. I got to get this done. Let's not fuss too much with details, and just go in and get your darks as much as you can. And then I go ahead and put in even more down here with the smaller brush. This is my Princeton Neptune round number 8 watercolor brush. This is my go-to watercolor brush. I use it all the time. In 90% of my paintings, this is the brush that I'm using. I do need to get another one. It is a little bit frazzled and frayed from all of the use that it has gotten over the years. I've had this brush since I started painting again back in 2018. This is my very first watercolor brush that I ever bought for myself. I think it was $15. And for me then, that was a lot of money. Especially picking up a hobby. All right, here I am going in with a little bit of blue, a little bit of a darker purple shade. I think it's the blueberry color in the set. And trying to darken that up. Once again, it dries down pretty light. It did get a deeper color, less pink, more purple. But it did dry down pretty light. It didn't stay this dark, which would have been much more satisfying. I would have to go in with a couple more glazes and maybe some blues, like a deep blue, indigo, to push that back. At this point, I'm just going to leave it as is. I like it. I think it's pretty. It is not the illustration colors at all. The background in the illustration is more browns, more red browns. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want red browns in the background. Didn't feel right to me. Not for my piece, not for what I wanted this to feel like. Now I'm fussing. Now I'm just fussing at this point. Put the brush down, and I I believe this is where I start with the crayons. Yeah. Sorry. I had a frog in my throat. I was trying not to do that. This is where I go in with the white, and I try to, and I think effectively, soften some of the white areas and blend them in a little bit and make them read as a softer feel. Like if you were to touch it, it would feel soft, that kind of feeling. And I'm just quickly scribbling in the white. And I'm not going to go in with any water. And I'm trying to fix that. I messed up and got red in the white area there. And I didn't want that. So I'm trying to go over that. It kind of worked. You can kind of see the red through it still, but it's not terrible. And I'm just plugging through, pushing through, dropping in the white here and there. Waiting for the holly leaves to dry completely so that I can go over those with the crayons as well. And you don't have to wait for things to dry because these crayons are water soluble. So you can wet them down as you work with them, and I have, and I do. But more often than not, I am using them as a finishing touch on a piece to blend out. Instead of getting out the oil pastels, I'll use these because these are oil pastels don't dry. So there's always the risk that your piece is going to get fudged up later. And these don't offer that. I mean, if this gets wet, of course, it's going to make a mess on the painting. But yeah, that's why I tend to lean towards these for this kind of effect at the moment. Now that I'm in my apartment, I can use my oil pastels and I have a place to store them appropriately. Wind kicked up weirdly outside the window. Well, I like how the white looks now, and that the hat and the beard are reading as more of a white with a yellow glow than before. Could have gone a little bit darker on the white next to his face there under the holly. And I decided, well, let's pop in some highlights, kind of pull that back out and get more shape to his face, more round, where it should feel more round. So I'm attempting that with the white to pull that darkness back out. White probably wasn't the color to go with. So I do jump around quite a lot throughout this step and use many colors on the face. I use pinks and blue and red, and I lost that footage. So about to go back into live Stacy, not editing Stacy, and we'll review the piece, and you guys can let me know what you think. Hi guys, this is editing Stacy, swinging in to let you know that I lost some footage at the end of the video as well, me finishing up the piece. I put in some blue crayon just here on all of the little swirls, and I put some white on the top of his hat and some white in the swirls to make them more magical feeling. Trying to think what else I did because it's the next day now. I did some white on the hat, or some light pink on the hat here to give it some dimension. Sorry about the lighting, the sun is shining right there. You can see the sparkle though in the sun. All that sparkle. I'll turn it this way so that the sun's not shining on it so much. But I went ahead and did a little bit of white in the hat, a little bit of pink through here, and then the blue swirls, and a little bit of white in the swirls, and some white on the face and in the eye. I don't feel like he's winking. I feel like I lost that somehow. But overall I like the piece. I think it turned out really nice. What do you guys think? I think I should have done a different color in the background. I was going for mystical, like magical background feeling. And I don't feel like I got that. I feel like I got more of a, I don't know. I don't even know. But I do feel like I should have gone with something more subdued behind the swirls to make them pop more. Yeah. But overall, I like it. I'm not sure about the colors in the beard and the hat. I'm not sure. I don't know. Well, you guys let me know. What do you think? What do you think of the piece? Well, this is where I'm leaving it. This is where it's living. And the hollies. You can see the sparkles in the paint. I like the sparkle, but I always like sparkle. And skin tones are really hard for me. And on the cover, let's show you that real quick, just so that you guys have reference from what I'm working from. This is a copy of Illustration by Charles Santor that I took out of the book. This guy. And tried to do his painting justice. I fell far short of that, but I had a lot of fun. It was a very enjoyable evening. And I feel like this is a good tool for practicing these kinds of things, for practicing colors. Like I lost a lot, I feel like, in the colors of the face, because his is so. But then there's this print, and then there's the cover of the book, which has a lot more going on. So you even this is what I was using for reference for the piece, and I lost some of that pink red. It didn't feel right to me. Yeah, I couldn't do this. Couldn't do it. Yeah. So at any rate, this is a practice piece of a Santa, and illustrated by Charles Santor. I think that's how you say that. From his Christmas book. And I really like how it turned out, especially when it's across the room. It looks really nice because I can't see all the flaws. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a wonderful Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas, holiday season, whatever you're celebrating, or even if you're not, have a great day. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!